Viriathus was a shepherd. Shepherds in the ancient world often become guerrilla fighters and often become bandits. The reason for this is that to survive as a shepherd, you had to be a bit of a bandit.
The Lusitanians are a tribe in Hispania who are quite advanced by the standards of the Hispanic peoples there. The Romans are mistrustful of the Lusitanians. They're a warrior people, there have been rebellions in Spain, and if Rome is going to keep a lid on its new province, then it needs to keep them in check.
Viriathus wants his people to be respected as equals of the Romans. He wants them to be able to live as dignified people and left alone to their own devices.
To the Lusitanians, Roman occupation presented something frightening, something completely new, and something apparently unstoppable. In such a set of circumstances, it would take an extraordinary individual to organize any type of coherent resistance against the almighty Roman army.
If we fight Romans like Romans, we will fail. So we must fight them as Lusitanians. They took our father's swords, but we still have their weapons.
Viriathus was thrust into a situation he really didn't want. He was in a bit of a conundrum, and yet he had to take responsibility for his people, yet he faced a force that was virtually insurmountable.
Viriathus knew very well how to attack and retreat. This is what we call today guerrilla warfare.
Guerrilla tactics were the only thing that would really have a chance of inflicting severe casualties on the Roman legion. The Roman legion was a machine. It was a slow machine. It moved in lockstep, and as long as it stayed together, it could not be defeated. So the only chance that an indigenous force would have against the Roman legions was to inflict the death by the 1,000 cuts.
He wants to create the impression the hills are alive with resistance, and nowhere in Hispania will it be safe for the Roman legions to operate.
Viriathus's ambush at Tribula is a great shock to the Romans, and it's a great achievement for him and his army. It galvanizes opposition to Rome.
The Romans respond by sending every year new praetors with armies trying to defeat them, and they fail.
The Roman experience in Hispania has some parallels to the modern example of the U.S. Army in Vietnam.
The enemy was invisible. He would attack and disappear, hit and run, and the morale of the troops would go down and down and down.
For Viriathus, he continued to press on. He fought for years after this. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that guerrilla warfare can only accomplish so much.
Being a successful guerrilla warrior is like walking a tightrope. You know that it's very difficult to keep your balance, and you know how easy it is for the enemy to get to you and how vulnerable you are. And Viriathus understood that he couldn't keep fighting against Rome forever, and that's why he eventually decides to seek peace terms.
In the final analysis, Viriathus was betrayed by his own people. He sends 3 people off to negotiate the terms of a deal with the Roman leader, and in fact what those people end up by being is bribed to assassinate Viriathus, and in fact he is killed by those people.
You know, the Romans prefer to win on the battlefield, and they prefer to win by honorable means. But if they can't win by fair means, they are willing to resort to foul means. And the case of Viriathus is a prime example. Unable to defeat him straight out, they decide that they will use treachery to defeat him, and it's successful, of course.